It's always an interesting collection to see Prada, see how that trickles down to the rest of fashion. She's a unique designer and always one that defines a season.
What I think is amazing about Prada is just the constant invention. And I really think that Mrs. Prada is so good at summing up what's happening in our society. As the economy is so difficult here in Italy, she produced a very sensitive and sensual collection. It was all based in flowers, and you had a feeling of such a sensitive, female, romantic touch. It was very beautiful.
Well, I think she was really interested in, she said, in exploring dualities like the demands on women's lives in a modern world versus their kind of desires and their femininity, and that happened to get expressed in flowers and structure, which ended up looking quite Japanese.
I love the direction she took last night with her inspiration from Japanese culture, mainly the geometry, the use of origami, the interpretation of the kimono, the obi sash.
Very black and white, but with a bit of a chinoiserie and at times almost a geisha attitude. Kimono jackets that wrapped and tied with a photo print of a daisy or a dandelion, little envelope short skirts. And fur all over the runway with a very graphic daisy pattern that almost resembled a bath mat. It was on a little coat, it was on a little crop jacket, and also on a little poncho that went over the top of short skirts. And of course, a very geisha shoe on a wide platform. So interesting how we're seeing a little bit of Eastern influence here when we're in Italy.
I wonder who will wear the sock, because the sock was pretty fantastic. I'm sure people in my office will be wearing it.
It was, her usual about face from last season, which was all about printed pantsuits. This was really a much more subtle and finely balanced, I think, collection.
Mrs. Prada is always about mood and emotion. I think she really is constantly thinking on how to invent fashion and push fashion forward. And I'm always surprised because one season she will be saying it's all about pants, and yet this season when it came to Prada, it's like, well, pants, no, it's not about pants anymore. It's all about short and shorts, and it's about the sensuality of the fabrics, all the satin, all the pretty flowers.
It's interesting, Prada you always get a little more appreciation for when you go to the re-see, when you go back to touch and feel the clothes. For instance, that pink cape, the fur with the inlaid flower on it was so masterfully done. Only she can do that. And I also just love that like drop-shouldered crop pant silhouette. It just feels very modern. It's not body conscious, it's not structured. It's really for a woman who's working and wants to be comfortable a day and then go out at night and not have to change.
What we saw on the catwalk was, as always, quite intellectual, sensual in a way, in the way that some of the kimono wrap skirts at the end and the mini skirts had an open back. Thought it was quite interesting that Prada brought in the flowers, as a patchwork flowers or onto the furs to kind of soften it, give it a childlike, feminine style to very stiff Duchess satins and silks.
Of the flower, which is a symbol of delicacy and femininity, except for there was a strength also in the collection that she had a very strong, deliberate point of view. And so the juxtaposition of that fragility, the fragility of the flower and the beauty and the strength of the geometry made for a really innovative collection.
That combination between romantic and quite strict, and between soft and hard. It's like at the show we were surrounded by these black columns, and yet when you looked at the clothes they were so soft and feminine. I think that's what she's so clever at, is understanding that's how real women want to dress. They want to be able to put a look together which says everything about their personal style. She's first and foremost a woman designer, designing clothes, in this particular case for women.